Hello and welcome to 100% Real with Ruby and Tom with the anti-wellness freaking damn shit wankery wanky Ruby, because this is just so wankery that I can't even put a wank number to it. And it spurred a lot of my weekend posts, and a lot of them each of the days, because we are under this impression that change happens quickly. We are very impatient, and because I've been putting these posts out the last few days, I've been getting a lot of inboxes saying, this is me, I'm impatient, or I needed to hear this today. And then when I said what part in particular, it was always coming back to the impatience part. And while I can say to you right now that you can see amazing fat loss in 6 weeks and in 8 weeks, which you very much can if you set it up right. And when I post fat loss photos to my Instagram stories, they're usually 6 to 8, sometimes 10, sometimes 12 weeks apart, and they're pretty damn drastic. But the thing is, we did not start them off in a fat loss phase. We primed them to have an effective fat loss phase. And it depends on their starting position. It depends on what they were willing to give up, what they weren't willing to give up, what they did in the day, their lifestyle. But I'm also only showing those of them that have been put into one and got those set outcomes. Because there's people that, there are those that have a lot going on that they can't consistently get themselves to a place where they are ready for a fat loss diet. There are so many different circumstances, but the thing is, so many of you are in that place, but you continuously try to put yourself into a diet. So you're trying to diet without getting any physical results. So you're mentally dieting, and then you're wondering 12 weeks later why you're not seeing the results you want to see. That's one section. Park that. The other section, people that have been dieting their whole lives, maybe you actually were successful, and now you're stuck and you're trying to be okay with eating more, and you're trying to build muscle, and you're trying to get stronger, and you have a million other goals, because now you don't have a tangible one target of fat loss, which for some weird reason we are so morally and so deep-heartedly attached to. It's a weight loss goal. I got this. I can do anything. I can white knuckle it. But as soon as we get there, it's like the post-wedding blues, where you put all of this time and effort, the last 8 months, 9 months, whatever, getting your wedding planner, looking up the events, looking up this, looking up that, and then it's all over. What the hell do you do with your time? And if you've ever competed, it's the same post-comp blues, because now you don't have that end goal and you feel like a lost puppy, which, like me, I then started to put myself into more and more comps, and then I got more disordered with my eating, more disordered with my relationship with my body, more disordered with everything. My hormones got completely downregulated. I never recovered my period. I could go on and on about how much it impacted me, but my mind didn't care. People told me and I still didn't care. And that's the reality of the situation we're in now. The biggest part is that you could be 6 months in and still not see the progress you want. And then you think progress is slow, but hey, guess what? 6 months is still only scratching the surface. If you're in the game of muscle gain, because muscle gain is a slow process. And if you are doing it let's just say if you just pretty much start out and you're only just building up your training volume, you're only just building up your training back to where you were, or you're only just starting out, versus if you're already lifting tons of, like when I say tons, I mean in the tons, when you add up the volume over the week of the training that you're doing, when you're already doing tons of training volume and you have tons of stress on your muscle, you have a lot more of an advantage there. But even then, I'm like 1 year into really pushing myself this year, and I still, to me, look the very same that I did at the start of the year. Am I fucking up? Well, no. That's the reality of muscle gain change. And if I had myself in a surplus, like a proper damn surplus for the most of that, I would have seen faster progress. But I had to be in maintenance for most of it. So how can I really expect? Like, this is where frustration happens, when your expectations do not match your reality. And if I had my expectations up here and my reality is down here, hey, I'm in a maintenance trying to build muscle, then it's not fair for me to keep these expectations. Whereas I was meeting my expectations prior to March when I had my issues start to spiral downwards. I was meeting my expectations. I was going up in my butt measurements and all that kind of stuff. Like, I was seeing some change. And that's because I was in a surplus. So if you're willing to push yourself into more of a surplus, you can see more change. But you can also do it in a minimal surplus, and that's okay. But you also need to realize that muscle gain, my biggest rant here is that muscle gain happens at such a freaking slow rate that you're not going to notice it month after month after month, because you see yourself every day. Number one. Number two, you are already a bitch to yourself. Yes, I said it. You are a bitch to yourself. Well, I should say a dick, because I always tell people stop being a dick to yourself. But stop being a fucking dick to yourself, because you are the hardest critic on yourself. And you go putting other people up saying, I wish I looked like her. She looks amazing. Blah, blah, blah. I wish I was like her. So you're comparing what you hate in yourself, what you don't see in yourself, to everything that you're overemphasizing in everyone else. Now you answer my question. How the ruddy hell is that fair? One last note before I let Tom go off on his anti-wanky winks. Wank number, I think this is number 312 from me. So, when it comes to progress, you level up month after year after year. And every time you level up, progress gets slower, because you start off with amazing progress. Yeah, because you're a newbie. You start seeing your strength go up. When I came back from the COVID time that I did not train, my strength was going up and up and up and up. And then I got into the I'm grinding for every little bit. And then I'm going up and down and up and down. And that's the reality, because every time you level up, the rate of progress slows down. Take it away, Mr. Anti-Wank.
So there's loads in that. So I'm just going to pick out a couple of things and not respond to everything.
Yeah, 372 wanks. Take number 373.
Well, we are towards the back end of the year, I suppose. No, so the place to pick up, right? I think the idea that you're looking for a quick fix and you're looking for fast results is used as like a negative, and it really shouldn't be. Like, everyone wants fast results, and it's fine to want fast results. And the reason a lot of people want fast results is because, so far as they can tell, according to social media, you can get them. Every other coach is posting 8, 12-week transformations, and a lot of coaches do it on themselves, and I find this really misleading because of exactly what you've said. Okay, the person who has never really engaged with fitness, who's never really engaged in nutrition, and is looking to lose weight is a fundamentally different person to the fitness professional who knows exactly what they're doing, has a great relationship with food in many cases, and has been exercising for a long while and is carrying a bit extra body fat because they've been in a calorie surplus. Yes, they both need to lose fat, but they're in both two completely different situations. And so just because a personal trainer can very easily lose fat in 12 weeks, that does not mean that his clients can very easily lose fat in 12 weeks, because the barriers that those two people face will differ significantly. But if we're faced with these transformations all the time, it's no wonder that people assume they can lose fat really easily in 12 weeks. The other side of it is you've got companies like Ultimate Performance based in London. They post an awful lot of like radical 12-week transformations. The first thing you have to remember, whenever a personal trainer or anybody like that posts a before and after a transformation, that is a cherry-picked example. They are not showing you their average client. They are showing you the best results. That's very obvious, but that's very good marketing, and that's what sells. And not only do they post that, like, who's to say that person still looks like that 12 weeks from now? If you're making rapid results in 12 weeks, you are not doing things sustainably. And if you're already in a good spot and you can move from a sustainable approach, non-sustainable approach to a sustainable approach real quickly, then that's fine. I know that I could personally crash diet. So I maintain my body weight at about 3,300 calories. I could very easily drop down to 1,500 calories, and I could keep that for 3-4 weeks. I'd lose a lot of fat in that time, and I know I could do it because I've been doing this forever, I have a great relationship with food, and I can just be a robot if I want to. And after that process, I could then swap back to 3,300 calories and be fine. I'm also aware that the average person can't do that, and that's not because I'm some superhuman. It's because it's literally my fucking job. Like, I do this all the time. Like being good at moving my macros around is what my profession is, and so it would be unfair of me to place those expectations onto other people, and it would be unfair of other people to place those expectations on themselves. Now, the other side of impatience that I see all the time is in the realm of muscle gain. Muscle gain takes ages. And if you're not willing to be in a calorie surplus for like a year, you're probably not going to build a great deal. And this goes whether you are a member of the general population or whether you're a bodybuilder. If you're a member of the general population and you are not building muscle to a deadline, it shouldn't fucking matter. If slow muscle gain is consistent muscle gain and you're doing that in a sustainable way, that's fine. And where people get it wrong is they are a regular member of the general population, but they approach their nutrition and their training as if they were a bodybuilder who has no other priorities. And so what you end up with is you end up with these regular folk who have a job and who have kids and all of that, and they make bodybuilding like their entire hobby. And the problem you've got is, like, you've got nothing else. You're always going to be really impatient, whether you're building muscle or losing fat, if that is the only thing you think about outside of work, kids, housework, relationship, all of that. If you've got no other hobbies, if you've got no other fun things, if you've got nothing else to look forward to in the week other than going to the gym, of course you are going to be impatient if all you're doing is that. Because the only way that you're going to get these like hits of dopamine and these sensations that you're making progress towards a goal is by getting into, oh, I've gained an extra inch here, or oh, I've dropped a kilo here. And it's like that shit happens really slowly. And if that's the only place you're getting joy from, you're going to be fucking impatient. So this is why I harp on it all the time. Like, adults need hobbies. Most adults don't have hobbies. And if you're busy, it's very understandable that you don't have a hobby, but you need to carve out that time, just like you need to carve out time for training. In fact, I would argue if you've got 4 hours spare in a week, you would be better off training 3 times and spending an hour doing some other shit than you would doing 4 training sessions and then having nothing else to think about. It kind of ties into the rant I've had before about when people say that training is their therapy. Like, no, training is not therapy. Training can be therapeutic, but if training is the only thing that you're using to maintain your mental health, when you get an injury, you are fucked. So you need other stuff. You need other support mechanisms. You need other means of ensuring that you feel okay. Because, yeah, training can go away tomorrow. All it takes is one deadlift, your back hurts a bit, right, that's 3 weeks you can't train. Now what? And if that's going to be a problem for you, it's already a problem for you. You're just kind of masking it by the fact that you're not currently injured. So the final little thing that I wanted to pick up on is just kind of going back to the muscle gaining thing. A lot of people want to do bodybuilding for some reason. I don't want to. I don't get it, but a lot of people do. But I saw a post recently, so this is not my original idea. But I'd love to be able to tell you who it was, but the post says a lot of you are more interested in body showing than bodybuilding, and it shows. Bodybuilders spend the vast majority of their time in a calorie surplus building muscle, and then they diet down to compete. And then they take a bunch of photos, and that's what they post year round. And then their followers think, oh, that is what you should look like year round. And so they try to build muscle while maintaining that lean look, and it just doesn't fucking work. Like, there's a reason that if you look at all of the videos of like Kai Green and Heath and all of the greats, they're all in Git massive baggy hoodies. If you ever watch like Ronnie Coleman off-season posing routine, he just looks like a big fat guy that's quite muscular. Because bodybuilding is a building process. It's not a showing process. And if you're uncomfortable with that, that's fine, but you're going to have to develop the patience that it takes to build muscle excruciatingly slowly And that is going to be best supported by having other interests. And that is where I think most people in the general population should be. Most people in the general population should not be looking to add massive amounts of muscle every year, because the only way you're going to do that is by maintaining a fairly large calorie surplus. And a lot of people don't want to do that. Like, it's not necessarily good for your health. Nobody does bodybuilding for the health benefits. So if you're wanting to build muscle, stay relatively lean, you need to maintain a surplus, but you don't really want to buy like off-season jeans. You have to develop the patience. And if you can't develop the patience, that's fine, but you are going to have to adjust your expectations accordingly.
Okay, so out of that, I think we're up to wank number 412. So I'll take that one. Busyness. This is a big one as well, and not just for the sake that it means that you're going to try to get your dopamine hits from training, but I actually want to bring into this the fact that like high achieve. Actually, that's going to be wank number 413.
Yeah.
Busyness. When you're so busy through the week, this is usually when people then say, oh my God, the week is over. Let's get the dopamine hit through food. The same applies to your training. And you're always looking for that next fix. And if it then turns to you having this negative relationship with food, and you are one of those people that then go to food and try to control your body through food, you then try to control your body more through wanting to get lean and controlling your food more. Because in the essence of all of this, it's never really about the training, it's about the food. And when you're so busy, you don't have that positive relationship with food anymore, because I'm also going to argue that your appetite cannot be relied on when you're that busy, especially because busy bees do not feel hungry during the day. They're too busy doing other things. So then what happens? They binge at night, or they have such, like, there are two different types of people: those that binge and do all that kind of stuff, and then those that are overly restrictive and controlling. And I'm more of the person that would try to control things more, because I have that level of awareness about things. And that is not healthy either. And if you rely on your hunger to tell you if you're eating enough or not, you are not going to get your goals either, because just like you're going to get hungry in a deficit, you are not going to get hungry when you are trying to fuel yourself for muscle gain. Unless you're one of those other people that, like me, I just love food. So but we're not talking about that part of it. We're talking about the emotional part of it. The emotional part that seeks food for comfort, or that has you want to control your body so tightly that you think food is the answer. And you're not going to ever get control of your body or food if you try to use the food to control the body. Trying to have too much control inherently leads to a lack of control and more chaos. Like the law of entropy, we tend to move to the most disarray that there is. Oh, hey, there's a freaking bean there. If you're watching the video. But okay, just
to jump on that.
Yeah, come in.
Jumping on the thing. The idea of honoring your hunger and eating to your appetite is great, and I do believe that it's a good place for a lot of people to get to, but it's not something that you can just do. The problem is there are a ton of things, as you just mentioned, that are going to influence your hunger, including like your food choices. If you're eating hyperpalatable foods, you're going to be more hungry more often. If you're stressed, that's going to either bump your appetite way up or way down. If you are particularly busy, that's going to alter your appetite. And so if you are really, really well in tuned to your hunger signals, your fullness signals, if you're eating a broadly whole foods diet, and if you do not have the desire to particularly change the amount of weight that you have, you can probably eat to hunger. And I think, again, for general health, that's a really good space for a lot of people to get to. But if you're wanting to change your body composition, whether that's lose fat or build muscle, and if you are not eating like a hypothetically perfect diet where it's like basically all whole foods, and if you're not doing all of that, having some degree of like intentionality around your eating is almost like a necessity. And that doesn't necessarily mean tracking calories. So myself as an example, I use what's called mechanical eating. So I eat at particular times in the day, whether I want to or not, because if I don't do that, I will undereat. And by doing that, I can kind of just eat whatever I want at those times. Like I don't track calories and stuff. The only rules that I have really are I eat roughly at this time, this time, this time, and those need to be balanced meals. And as long as I can do that, I can kind of do what I want to with my body composition. And I have clients who do very similar things in slightly different directions. So don't think that it's a case between like honoring your hunger and tracking calories. But yeah, I don't think it's a good idea for the majority of people in the modern food environment, especially from the get-go, to just kind of go with their appetite and hope that it works. I think there needs to be a lot of groundwork before you can do that.
Yeah, and I would say definitely do not even try to attempt that if you've never healed your relationship with food, because that in itself has distorted your perception of all that. But I also want to add on to that as well. If you're neurodivergent, I have a lot of ADHD clients, and me myself being extremely on the spectrum. I understand. No. Tom knows, but I understand a lot of your food tendencies, and if you need someone to coach you or to help you through that, I'm here. If you need some support, because I hear you, I get it. It's difficult, but this is also another reason I use mechanical eating. And I try to stick to it, because when I'm most strict with my food times, it helps me so much better. And then having the flexibility within those food times, as in like I have 30 minutes either side, but I also know that it's not doom and gloom if I miss one of them, because if I'm in a freaking work block and I'm focused for once, I ain't gonna ruin that to go get some damn food. So instead, I know what my meals are at those particular times. And if I need to, I will eat two closer together. You just make it up that way. Don't make it harder for yourself. But back to what we were saying before, number 373 is perfectionism. So 372, recap, that was busyness. Now perfectionism. We spoke about this in another podcast. And if you listen, I can't remember which one it is, sorry, but I did do one with Marcy where we were talking about perfectionist tendencies and how when you strive for perfection in something, we tend to say we have high standards, and then that kind of, we make our body a subject of, oh, I just have these high standards I need to reach. You're okay. According to who is the standard? Like, I had a conversation with a lady who seems to think that nothing on your body should jiggle as well. And it's like, where do we get these perceptions of what our body should look and feel like? Especially if you've been lean before, it just completely fucks up your mentality with all of it. And the leaner you get, the more down the road you get of your body transformation journey, the more friggin' nitpicky and negative you're going to be about your body, because it becomes the one in focus, which go back to the part that Tom said about having a hobby. It helps. Speaking of, if anyone knows how to like not fall over when you rollerblade, that would be awesome. Just reach out to me, because I want to get back on my rollerblades. But I got
stability and core strength, my dear. Do more plyometrics, you'll be fine.
I actually, my rollerblades are too big for my feet, but I pretend they're not.
I mean, that also won't help. Yeah.
That's
but
what
yeah, the
feet.
body not jiggling thing is super common. Like, it's probably one of the more like common myths that I encounter as a coach. Like, this idea that your body just shouldn't move when you move, and there shouldn't be jiggles and there shouldn't be wobbles, is just insane. Like, even if we look away from body fat, right? Like, I have reasonable pec genetics. So I grow pecs really quite easily just from like a few sets of bench press a week. But like, if you're watching on the video, I don't know if you can see, like my pec like jiggles like that when I'm not flexing, and then I flex and it just doesn't move. Like, muscle jiggles when it's not tensed. So even if you lost all of the fat on your body, there would still be jiggly bits. Like, even as a bicep example, like most people, because like upper arm tends to be a place where fat gets lost quite easily. Like, a lot of people listening to this will probably not have a great deal of fat in their bicep. Just relax your bicep and like prod it and like wiggle it. It'll move around. Like that's like jiggly. And then you flex and it's. So this idea that you should be made of wood and you just shouldn't move is just wild. And it holds so many people back. Like, I've worked with so many female clients who struggle with the fact that their legs jiggle, that their glutes jiggle. And it's like, well,
You know what that kind of led me to? That led me to my full-blown anorexia. If I remember my Tumblr page was all fucking thigh gaps. I was pro Anna back then because I was obsessed with this idea that nothing should jiggle. Like, you don't realize how disordered that is. And then it's like, I don't have body image issues. I just have high standards. It's like, but it's still.
Yeah, that is a very common sentiment.
It is.
It's not a body image issue. I just have high standards, and like
everywhere, all over Facebook groups. I'm not targeting anyone in particular with this podcast. I see it everywhere in Facebook groups where people are posting photos because you're not in women's groups, posting photos with things circled around like here. They're like, how do you get rid of this bit? Because it's like all fat and stuff. And then there was someone in a car with their photo like this saying, well, I got rolls.
Yeah.
I'm kind of flexing because I don't have a seat behind me, so you can kind of see so it doesn't work. But if I wasn't flexing, wait, I'll turn the seat around here. Wait. Ugh. How do you not flex? It's like I have all these rolls. Well, I can take with them like that. It's just on true flex now. But it's like, here's a good example. I don't look like this at the gym. I have a belly because I just ate food. Like, I don't have abs. I can't do anything to show abs like I do at the gym. It's like your body changes throughout the day. And I did have rolls a second ago because my legs were up, but
and like, I'm not in women's groups, but I do get sent those from clients where it's like, oh, I don't like this bit, and it's circled, and it's very difficult because the problem is, right, like, as a coach, if I just tell you that's normal and fine, that doesn't fucking mean anything. Because I honestly believe that deep down, a lot of people know that. And I think a lot of it is exactly what you've just said. No, I just have high standards. I know it's normal. I don't want to be normal. I want more. And like, wanting more than normal is good. I think that's important. But I also think we need to understand what more than normal looks like, because it doesn't look like a body that doesn't move when you move. It doesn't look like a body that never gets rolls regardless of position. And it certainly doesn't look the same from morning until night, because exactly as you said, after you've eaten, especially if you eat like a decent diet, like if you're eating lots of like fruits and vegetables and shit, your stomach will look different after you've eaten. And that's not necessarily bloat. That's just your body, but with food in it now. And it's awful that people get stuck in this trap of thinking that your body isn't supposed to look like that, but like, your body changes all the time. And as a final little point on this, there's an interesting phenomenon. So there's an interesting phenomenon that I see in gym people where they give themselves like almost like a body image thing, where what they'll do is they wear a pump cover, which for those uninitiated is a get big baggy something. And then they'll train a bit, get a pump, which makes your muscles look bigger, fuller, makes them look closer to your skin. They'll take the pump cover off, they'll flex, they'll look at themselves, they'll take their selfies. And then when they don't look like that, they feel like they look like shit. But it's like, you never look like that in the first place. Like, that's just what you look like with a pump. And people who are not in the space don't necessarily realize how much of a difference, if you're relatively lean, a pump makes. Like, it's huge. You look like a different person. And so if you're comparing yourself stood in the mirror after breakfast to a person who has a pump in great lighting, like, even if you had identical, even if it was the same person, they look entirely different. And so it's not just that you're comparing yourself to like your negative points to people's highlights, it's that you're comparing yourself on a regular day to a person's who doesn't even look like they look like now, and that's before we talk about Photoshop. So yeah, it's a very strange phenomenon, the pump cover thing.
On the pump thing, when I had to do a modified close to keto, I did not do keto because I cannot stand high fats, but when I did something similar to that, I hated my body so much. Like, that's when I started to be like, I do not like how I also hated how I felt. So that had a lot to do with my body. But I was just low energy. And the reason I hated, like, I actually did not like my body so much at that point was I wasn't even able to perform. I had no energy. My training sessions were shit. I didn't even want to finish my training sessions. And anything that impacts on my performance, it's like, why would people want to actually impose that type of shit on themselves? But the point I'm getting to is I even had 2 guys come up to me and say, "What happened to you? You've lost so much size." Because I did not have carbs in my body. My body, like, if you're looking on the video, I have veins all over my body right now because I've eaten 460 grams of carbs today. Like, my body is full of glycogen, and I drink a shitload of water, and I also have salt on my food. My body is full. And if I went on the scale, I would probably be, I don't even know, because I didn't weigh myself this morning. I hardly weigh myself, but usually I tend to be about 4 kilos heavier at nighttime than I'm in the morning because my body is full. Your body's changed. And if you do not have a healthy relationship with your body, that impacts so much. And then when you're on your period, add that to the mess. What were you gonna say?
As I say, just on the exact opposite end of the spectrum, if you're watching the video, like, I don't even have that little, like, forearm vein at the minute because I trained and then rushed home to get to the podcast. So all I've had so far is a protein shake. So I have no additional carbs in my body and all my vascularity's gone. Come 3 hours time when I've eaten a normal amount of food, like, it'll come back. Like, these things change. And if your self-worth is tied to what your body looks like when you're full of carbs and have a pump and all of that, like, it's a thing to address.
Yeah, and there were 3 more. 1, 2, 3 more things I wanted to say. So wank number 385, self-compassion. People think that accepting your body and being okay with it and letting go of your perfectionist standards means you're going to be letting yourself go. I had this conversation with 2 of my clients actually this time last year, literally this time last year. They've been on with me for almost 2 years, and the progress they've made is absolutely insane. But their mental gains through all of this, when all they ever wanted to do was shrink their body, and every time things got emotional, they want to shove themselves into a diet, and this is getting to a point. And she even went through a divorce, and she hasn't even once wanted to put herself into a fat loss phase. She just wants to get her revenge training back and train like a beast. And that just makes me so happy. But her concern this time last year was, I don't understand how I can do this without the fear of letting myself go. Like, I feel like if I accept this, then my body's only going to get worse. And what if I don't look the way that I want anymore? And what if I gain the weight back? And it was a lot of mental reckoning with her, which is why she started working with the therapist that's on my team as well. But like, it's not letting yourself go. And this is where I'm just like, am I not existing? Like, oh, there we go, belly roll. But am I not existing? Because I don't have those tendencies on my body. And I do not let myself go. I do not look like an elephant. Like, I still want to better myself. It's just that I've channeled it into a pursuit that is a lot more meaningful and that gives me a lot more purpose, which I cannot freaking wait to get my squats back. By the way, I got 105 times 3 today.
Hey, well done.
I played my 600 grams of carbs yesterday. Watch my stories, bro. Watch my stories when you get off. But 2 more things. The staying lean and PEDs. That's the thing that I've been speaking about a lot lately because I wanted to stay lean. I didn't want to I didn't want to do bulks for too long between my cuts. But then you look at my comp photos, I looked so good in my Amanda Doherty's comp because I had more muscle fullness. I wasn't so lean that it looked like I was slithered away into nothing. But I continued to just diet show after show without any real time in between to gain muscle. And I was in my prime then. I was training, I was eating, I was doing everything I needed to do. But no matter what you do, you cannot force train muscle. You cannot force eat muscle. You cannot. It takes so fucking long to build. And every time you shove yourself into a diet, especially without a lot of breaks in between, you are losing muscle. So you can say, I don't even care if I lose a little bit of muscle. You are putting your goal body on hold every time you shove yourself into a fat loss phase, the way that you shoot yourself into that. And the last thing I want to say is it's not just about body composition here. It's about strengthening, because the more strength potential you have, the more volume potential you have. And the more volume potential you have, the more body recomposition potential you have. Mic drop, done. Any more wanks?
No, the only thing that I just kind of wanted to pick up on and just re-emphasize is there's this idea that if you have been super restrictive in your diet, that not doing that anymore is letting yourself go. And I've had this with a few clients, and I totally understand it, because as we've mentioned earlier, there are a lot of people who conflate the idea of being on a super restrictive diet with just having higher standards. Like, oh no, I'm not being really restrictive, these foods are bad, and I just have lots of discipline to cut them out. And it's a super common way to think. And if you think about it, given the messaging that tends to predominate on social media, it's a really understandable message, but it's still wrong. And if you move away from a completely unsustainable diet that's not serving you well to one that's a little bit easier to stick to, just because it's easier, that doesn't mean you've let yourself go. Just because you're not trying to stick to a calorie target that's making you feel like shit, that's not letting yourself go. Because what you were doing before with the highly restrictive diet, like, that wasn't discipline, that wasn't anything else, that was just misaligned priorities and following through on advice that was probably bad. Like, if you are trying to run 50 miles to work and someone gives you a ride, like, it's not giving up to take the ride, it's just you probably shouldn't have been running that distance in the first place. There's probably better analogies that I can think of to that, but like, yeah, taking an easier route is not giving up, it's not letting yourself go, it's being fucking sensible. Here's a better one. If you're trying to dig a hole with a spoon and someone offers you a shovel, it's not giving up to take the shovel. You're just being more sensible with it.
I got one. Someone gave me this one when it comes to training selection. Would you eat spaghetti with a freaking spoon, or would you eat it with a fork if you had a chance?
Yeah.
So I hope you liked this. Love you, leave you, boy. Oh, one more thing. Tell us which wank you liked the most so we can wank that up onto our stories.
Does wank mean the same thing in Australia as it does in the UK? Because that is a very strange sentence.
I don't know. It's just so funny to say because everyone seems to love the anti-wankery series. But, don't be addicted to yourself. That's what I'm leaving. Don't be addicted
to yourself. Good message.
Love you all, and I hope you got some humor out of this for a very serious subject, which is why I decided to insert so many little laughing moments, because it's serious. But when I read a book, this is the last bit. I didn't read a book. I'm still reading my very first book, and I'm 42% of the way through it. But there was a part that stuck with me, and that's a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. Anytime you add a little bit of sweetness or a little bit of fun to anything that's drudgery like medicine, that's drudgery like anything that you dislike, adding something that's enjoyable with it and setting, like, for example, I'm not allowed to read this book that I really want to read, or I'm not allowed to watch this show that I really want to watch unless I'm walking while I'm doing it. Pairing things that you love to do and want to do with things that you currently dread doing is a great way of building a habit of getting something done until you start to feel the benefits of it. And hopefully in adding some humor to this, you got the same benefit. Love yous. Bye! Let me know if there's anything else you want us to talk about.